Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Clarify your message. Now, in this podcast, here, my Internet Explorer, we're going to be focusing on why you must refocus your message, not on the solutions you're providing, but on the problems that your market is facing. Now, you should understand that each and every one of the people that end up on your website is there after having, scoured through the internet looking for information, looking to buy something or to solve their problems. They are there based on the language they speak. They're on your website just simply based on a solution or maybe a problem that they are actually facing there and there. And my question to you, my Internet Explorer friend, is, does your website speak immediately on the problems that your audience is having, not on the solutions that you are providing? Because half of the time when we discuss solutions, we use jargon, we use language or marketing speak, so to say, that only speaks to our industry peers and not Sally, who definitely needs the solutions that we're offering, but is not aware that her problem can be solved like that. So if you would notice, this is episode number 3, season 4. We've come a long way, people. I was actually checking. We have recorded for over 78 hours. That, my Internet Explorer, means if you decide to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Experience and you don't want to go out and do anything, you will sit for over 3 days and you will still not even get to the bottom of the content that we've put out there. And it's very important, for me to know that the information that we're putting out there is actually making a difference to the world. So I would appreciate if you subscribe so that we know that our message is actually clear and we're not just talking solutions, but we are actually solving the problems that you have. And if you would notice in episode number 2 of season 4, I picked up an idea where I was going to help you restart, your goals and to actually, meet the expectation that you might have on marketing. And in the first episode, we were just really talking about you not focusing so much as to, the actual outcome, but to just go with the flow. And then today I want us to look at how you can actually, recharge and revive your marketing message so that you're no longer just spraying and praying to the audience out there. You're actually, creating for and relating to an audience that actually understands you. Because as you would understand, nobody, listens to marketing that is not speaking to them. So the first thing that you want to do, if you notice that you're not generating any qualified leads, or you're just, the phone is not ringing, so to speak, you need to refocus your message. Okay. So what does this actually mean? All right. You might be asking yourself, my message is right. I'm speaking to the right people. Everybody understands what it is that I'm saying. Well, let me ask you something. Are you actually maybe cold calling potential clients out there and having them hang up in your face? That could simply be a symptom of them not actually understanding where you come into the picture, or you are just talking of the solutions that you're providing instead of you really focusing on the problem that your customers has, because the language that the customer uses is problem centric. Okay, if they have a headache, if they have a toothache, that's how they explain their their problem. They don't call themselves a patient, and we're out there seeking patients. Okay, so we really need to get to the brass tackles of what exactly we are helping our customers run away from, and bringing them towards the solutions that we're providing. Or maybe you're out there sending hundreds of emails without even getting as much as, hey, thank you so much for reaching out. People might not be understanding the solutions that you are putting out there simply because you did not lead with the problem that they're facing. And maybe you're wasting thousands of dollars on ad spend and you're not generating any qualified leads. Right now, I advise you, my Internet Explorer, shut down the ads if they are not producing a favorable return on your investment, because you might actually be focusing on the solution that you're providing instead of the problem that the customer defines themselves or associates what they're going through with. Okay, so like I said, this podcast is really going to fine-tune that message that you're putting out there, because when you match your message to your ideal client, it's pretty much everything when it comes to marketing these days. You know why? Because a lot of people are bombarded with advertisements from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. There's a TikTok here, there's a news, Instagram Reels over there. We're not even talking about commercials that come up on the radio on their way to work and everything that comes along with it. Then how do you then stand out in a sea of visual and verbal diarrhea that people are exposing themselves on the internet out there? Just think about you. You've got just about 5 seconds to get, and keep somebody's attention. That's if they're a smart person, okay? People have a 3-second attention span out there, and you can't waste that precious time with a message that doesn't resonate, with a message that doesn't connect, or with you just speaking marketing speak that other people do not actually understand. Okay, ndikatanga kutaura chirudzi chausinganzwe unganinzwe handipapapa rutoshandisika kuti ndiri kuti kudii. Now, you see, in the last 3 seconds, I was speaking my own language. Half of the time, you would have, maybe just perked up and be like, oh, wait a minute, something is wrong. Am I listening to a different podcast or something like that? No. That was just me trying to emphasize the point that we are reaching our target audience using the language that only us understand, and we're not actually speaking to the people that we're going to be demanding money off of. So, a message that actually connects is one that clearly talks about what your ideal client wants more than anything else in the world, okay? And do you know what that is? All right? Definitely your client right now wants to solve their problems. And I can imagine you've got problems of your own too. Maybe you're trying to, make payroll. You're trying to fix your website. You're trying to connect with that audience that you need to be speaking to. All of those are problems that somebody has a solution to, but you need to lead with the problem, and that way your message will now resonate to the person that you're trying to reach out to. Okay, everyone out there is looking to solve their problems. That's where we need to start off from. So in many ways, they could be going through stuff, asking people a lot of questions, etc., but people just lead with their services. They will never care about your awesome plan to do, your consulting, your coaching, your training, your information, your expertise, or whatever it is, if you don't first and foremost let them know that you actually understand what they really, really want. I was mentioning earlier on my Internet Explorer friend, and I'm assuming you're a coach, consultant, or small to medium business. And I was saying, right now you might be cold calling people, you're sending hundreds of emails and wasting thousands of ad spend. Sometimes it may feel like no one wants to buy what you're selling. That is me explicitly calling you out on the things that are your biggest problem right now, because I assume you want to be able to generate hundreds of qualified leads without having to resort to cold calling or any of that email marketing, which is not returning anything back but a bill. Okay, so nobody really wants what you're selling. They want their problems solved. Period. If you look at what you're doing right now, whether you are, creating content or whatever it is, what problem are you actually solving? And if you're not solving anyone's problems or making anyone's life better, then I think you, my friend, are wasting your time. So if this is, as far as you want to listen to this podcast, this is it. This is all I wanted you to do. Refocus on your message so that you are speaking in terms of the problems that your customers are facing, and then relate them to the solutions that you have. So for today, here is your assignment, my Internet Explorer. I want you to make a list of the problems that you solve for your clients, and the things that you help people with the most. All right, now if you're probably having trouble thinking about what your clients' problems are, which is what a lot of people go through, just think a bit about the things they tell you. What is it they come to you for? All right, so some might call it the things that they whine about. What is your client right now, or your potential client, whinging about right now? And sometimes it's just those things that then lead to the bigger thing. All right, so you want to sell what people want and then deliver to them what they actually need. Okay, so when you sell them what they want, that's to solve their problem. Okay, they might see it as this little tiny little thing, but the problem is actually bigger than they actually think. All right, so let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. A lot of my prospective clients might say things like, I just want the phone to ring a whole lot more. But you know why the phone is not ringing? You haven't identified your target market, you haven't clarified your message, and you're spraying and praying with your marketing because you haven't determined what media you need to be reaching out to the people that you're going to be serving. All right, and you probably are just leading with a solution, and you haven't actually identified what problems you're actually solving. Okay, so I don't reach to the people and say, hey, I'm going to sell you my marketing services or SEO or even consulting. All I need to know about is, what do I, my client, what they need to know about is, how to make the phone ring. End of story. I'm not going to talk about AdWords. I'm not going to talk about, social media, email marketing, or things of that nature. You know what I mean? They just want to know, how do I make the phone ring? Okay, so this is where we now start sitting down and then looking at what are they doing that is actually, keeping customers away or not making people make inquiries. Okay, so maybe that example was a little bit too close to home. You might be thinking, this only maybe just works in digital marketing. Let's look at something that is far-fetched. Okay, maybe let's look at a tree service. Okay, there might be the best equipment or most highly skilled crews, but all their customers seem to care about is that they show up when they say they will, and they'll clean up after they're done. I don't know if you've watched on YouTube, fails, and there's a lot of tree falling companies that end up bashing the car or the house and make an accident like that. You know what I mean? Clients just want to know, are you going to arrive on time? Do they need to be at home when this is happening? And are you going to clean up after you're gone? So that's a promise that you need to promote if you are a tree service. Okay, the rest is an expectation. The rest is what the client is expecting. And I mean, doesn't anyone in the tree business have highly skilled technicians? That's a given. All right, so if I lead with saying we've got expert digital marketers, that's what people are expecting. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in business. Okay, so nobody is going to question your technicality or whatever it is. They just want to know, will you be there on time? Will you give them the promise that you promised? Will you deliver on helping them solve their problem? That's it. So that's how you refocus your message. It's no longer about you or your amazing product or service. It's all about your amazing clients and the problems that they seek to solve. Okay, people are always running away from pain. What is that actual pain that you're taking people away from, and what are you doing about it in order for people to have a happier existence, just simply predicated on the solutions that you're bringing to the marketplace? Okay, so that is where value is. All right, value is not necessarily just giving content away or things of that nature. You need to be actually solving people's problems. That's how we get paid. All right, so how do you then figure out all of this stuff? And maybe you're marketing out there. Do you know what actually has started happening, or where your customer journey starts off from, in order for them to start seeking the services that you provide? So these can be trigger phrases. What are the kind of things that people are talking about? What are the kind of things that your prospect defines their problem as, instead of how you define your solutions? All right, let me see. In the past, if you've listened to some of my episodes, I've referred to these kind of statements as trigger phrases. All right, now your customers don't even know how to solve their problems, because if they did, they would definitely just get on with it. So they don't know how to solve their problems, but they usually know what their problems are. And if you can maybe get good at demonstrating how you can solve those problems, then 9 times out of 10 you will win their business. And if you can get really good at demonstrating that what you sell is the answer to their problem, then they won't really care what you call it. They'll just buy it to make the pain go away. All right, like, have you ever tried to see what ingredients are in paracetamol or in any painkillers? No, you're just told that this is what it will do. You just read the packaging and then you knock them back, just so that you get rid of whatever pain you're going through. All right, so I want you to take some time and break down every solution that you sell and every benefit that you attribute to what you do, and then map it back, or maybe map it backwards to a handful of trigger phrases. What would somebody have either typed into Google or said in passing to somebody, up until they end up at your website, or up until you get a referral? What are those trigger phrases? All right, this will also teach you how to train the people around you to listen out for certain words. Because when somebody starts talking about back pain, or somebody starts talking about neck problems, that might be a job for a physio person or a masseuse. Okay, so all of those things, what are those trigger phases that you should listen out to? Or when you're those close to you are in a room, what should they listen out to? And these phrases can actually be questions or statements or even anecdotes, but they must come from a point of view of the customer. You see, why we're saying this is because recently we just signed on an accounting firm, and we were just really trying to identify who their target market is so that we can clarify their message. And accounting firms, they just assume all they do is do tax and help people with GST and BAS or any business activity that an entrepreneur might be going through. And when we started looking at trying to look at the phraseology and the phrases that their customers use to define what it is that they do, you get most of that work in testimonials. All right, and we noticed that a lot of the testimonials were actually coming from teachers that have got nothing to do with the business. Okay, now can you see, because teachers already know that every year they have to do or file their taxes, and so if they just sign up to an accountant who does that for them, they sort of set and forget, and they just get reminded to bring in their paperwork when tax time is due. Right? So if we had gone in and tried to seek out for businesses for this accounting firm, our message would have been misaligned to their actual clients and the relevant people that they are solving problems for. Okay, so once you know these trigger words, you'll be able to actually craft ads, you'll be able to craft messaging and you'll be able to actually create content that grabs your audience attention. Now, while we are at grabbing attention, headlines, the copy, the content, the length of the video, all has to do with you having an intricate understanding of the problems that you solve and the solutions that you're providing. All right. So what headlines will actually grab their attention based on how they're framing that problem within their own head and using their own words. Okay. So once you have written all those phrases and questions that are trigger words, you also should start writing headlines for your website. What I mean is, write a big, bold statement. That might be the first thing that anyone who visits your website will see, okay? And ask yourself, would this statement get your ideal client, attention more than anything like welcome to our website? Because that's what a lot of people write on their sites. Welcome to our website. This is a little bit about us. Remember, that person came to your site to see if you can solve their problems, not to see what solutions you provide. All right. So another example, just for illustration purposes, I'll outline a few maybe common problems that we hear as a digital agency. And if you're a marketing consultant listening to this, then these will make total sense to you. And you should probably, look at becoming a partner of Live Long Digital, because we already have, most of these questions down packed. And we're actually making it easy for people to find us online, just predicated on the fact that we are leading with the problems that they're facing instead of the solutions that we offering. All right. So a lot of it has to do with, like I mentioned earlier on, the phone is not ringing, or they have a local presence problem. Let's just say they need to be found by the people within their local vicinity. You hear things like, I feel like I'm getting left behind in this ever-changing online world. Or you hear statements like, my website just isn't performing as I had hoped. I paid a lot of money, for this website. Now it's just sitting there. Or you hear things like, every one of my competitors shows up for local searches and my business does not. What is the problem with that? Of course, we know that's an SEO issue, but the client doesn't know that. Your client just thinks that the competitor is doing something dodgy in order for them to appear high on search engines. And they come to us looking for that magic pill that makes them appear high on search engines. But we all know the solution to that is optimizing your website so that it can be found by, search engines when you get indexed. All right? And you also hear people saying, I'm getting constant pitches from SEO companies. Of course, they probably are noticing that your website is almost about to reach, page one. So they just want to help you reach the tip. So you should be able to read between the lines, okay, and find out exactly what problem is your potential client presenting with before you actually start putting your solutions out there. Or maybe one thing, especially when it comes to digital agencies, you hear people saying, I find the need to produce content and participate in every social network exhausting. What does that mean? They need a hand. They need maybe a system or a process to streamline their social media engagement and things of that nature. But they might not know of all the tools behind the scenes. They might not know, of all the social media platforms they need to be. That's then the solution that you provide. But when they come to you with a complaint, they come to you whinging, and it is your job as a coach, consultant, or small to medium business to listen to exactly what it is that they're saying, and then, make sure you replicate those words, because those are their trigger phrases or words, okay? So, these are just a few of my best headline ideas that just come up, based on me working with small to medium businesses, because I'm just combining frustrations that my clients present with, and I just reach out to them speaking their language, okay? So maybe if you want some help creating your new message, or maybe, just pick out a handful of your ideal clients and go and ask them, what problem did we solve for you, and then you test your headlines with them, and then just simply ask them to describe what you do better than anyone else. Therein lies how you can definitely solve their problems, which they can appreciate and want to see you do for them over and over again. Now, here's a pro tip. If your business receives online reviews, I urge you to study them carefully. I gave you the example of the accountant who thought their potential customers were business clients, whereas they were actually serving teachers the most. All right, so you want to study your online reviews carefully, and while it's awesome to maybe get maybe a 5-star review, just pay close attention to the words and the common phrases that your happiest customers are using. And then, because they will write your promise for you in some cases, all right? Because some people would say, I came to Prosper and I didn't even know where to start, and he gave me the exact steps to get started. Maybe that's what the problem that a lot of your potential customers have is they don't know how to initiate the first step. And if you can outline what that first step is for them, then you have actually solved their problem. Okay, so here's a real life example of let's pick another different example. We've got a remodeling contractor that we work with, and I'm just going to read an outline of the reviews that they received. So number one is they meet their commitments, they show up when they say they are, and they do very high quality work. So what does that tell you? The person is looking for people that are punctual, people that show up when they say they're going to be showing up. Because if you're going to be remodeling somebody's house and they need to be there, it doesn't mean that their life stops just because you want to show up at their house or you have a meeting with them, okay? And also, people are expecting high quality work because when they do show off that remodeling that has been done, they want people to envy the work that has been done instead of people asking them why they even bothered to remodel. So that's what that review is simply telling you if you're a remodeling contractor. Okay, so let's look at review number 2. They're easy to work with and always have the best interest of the client at hand. Half of the time, like we say, your clients don't even know what problems, what solutions are out there, but they know what their problems are. And if you listen and if you give solutions based on the problems that your customer is having, they actually assume that you're fighting the same battle as they are, and you're not just in it for the money. Okay, and then half of the time when you're doing website work or any sort of remodeling of any point, because when somebody is giving you their business, what that means is they're extending trust in you and your expertise that you're going to show up and you're going to do the best possible out there. Okay, so another review could say they pay attention to detail and the communication with the team members, and they follow up on any issue. It's been great. That's what customers want. They just don't want to pay and then never hear from that company again. Or if there's an issue, nobody rings them up to say, hey, was that issue actually solved? Okay. And another last review is all projects are completed on time or before scheduled end date. Sometimes your clients are remodeling their house or remodeling their website in time for something that they haven't told you. Maybe there's an event that they want to go and showcase or an exhibition, and they ask you to remodel their website and you don't do it in time. And they would start associating all of that embarrassment that they felt because of their crappy website on the work that you're putting out there. Okay, so now if you start looking at the review examples that I gave you, are you starting to see any themes in these snippets? Often we receive praise, and the person giving the praise, we just say thank you, but we don't listen to exactly what it is that they're thanking us for. Okay, and last but not least, once you know the problems that you're solving, you would definitely know who is your ideal client and who you are solving this problem for. Because once you know that, it makes it super easy for you to actually create for and relate to this person. All right, and this actually means a lot of things. You can deliver the greatest value to the right kind of people with the right kind of pain, and you would actually enjoy working with them. And these people definitely need you the most because you know why? They are the people with the problems that you can solve. So you want to write a detailed description of your ideal client and include as much about them as possible, including, the problems that they're facing and what it is that you're trying to solve for them. And then just give some thought to how you might reach out to them and actually appeal to them. And when you use your best clients, as an example or a yardstick, you now just start attracting the right kind of clients with the right kind of pain that you want to work with. Now, obviously, I know as an entrepreneur, marketing is just one aspect of running a successful business. You go from hiring and managing new staff, balancing books and driving growth, and a whole lot more other things out there. And it all feels like a constant balancing act where you're pulled in multiple different directions all at once. At the end of the day, your real goal is just to help your clients. You want to spend as much time changing lives and solving people's problems, all right? So I want you to stay tuned to this podcast. As you can see, we really go deep with these topics because I'm not talking about things that I don't do myself, like other people that just wax lyrical. I am a practitioner in this game, and I actually am practicing everything that I preach. Okay, so stay tuned for tomorrow's episode, or whenever you're listening to this episode, it will be episode number 4, okay, where we're going to be talking about the must-have elements of every website. And a hint to that is you're going to want to know the answers to 2 questions, on how you will be able to restart, recharge, and revive your marketing starting right now. I can't wait to see you succeed. And if you haven't subscribed to this podcast, why not? You must do it just now. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au